guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Gillian Berry and I am so excited for today's guest. We have Lissa on from Raw Food Romance. She is awesome. I have wanted her on since I started my channel last year and I am so excited. So she is a raw vegan. She has an amazing transformation story from when she went raw with the weight loss and just with how it's totally transformed her life. And she is also a big name in the raw vegan industry. She is a successful author and her foods, in my opinion, are just like the top of the game. And she is amazing. So let's get right into it. Hey, Lissa, how are you?
Great. How are you doing? Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you on. I'm so excited to talk to you and sort of share your experience and everything with my viewers.
Thanks. Yeah, this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, it is. So I would love to start out with, I don't know your story and my viewers will want to hear it. So what led you to raw veganism? And I know you had quite a transformation with the weight loss and with your skin changing. So I'd love to sort of hear like what led you to that, what happened, all the benefits you experienced as well.
Cool. Yeah. So I have a kind of a long story because I started working in the natural health industry. So like at a supplement store, organic grocery store in 2001. So I was 21, right, new into the natural health world. And in about 2004, we started getting a couple like raw cookbooks and stuff in there. And it was really intriguing. I was really inspired by like, oh yeah, we should all be eating more fruits and veggies, right? So the idea of eating only raw fruits and veggies and some nuts and seeds and stuff was really interesting to me. But I was stuck in the diet culture idea of everything, right? Like high fat, cut your calories to lose weight, exercise. If you have a craving, you need to like distract yourself or skip your craving and try to like have all this willpower and everything. So I never did the raw diet properly, in my opinion, because I was always trying to apply these old diet culture ideas for weight loss and health onto a raw diet, which wasn't working because I was eating very small portions and I was eating a lot of fat every single time that I would try to go raw, because that's kind of how I learned about raw. It was mostly just like lots of fats. And I was still scared of fruit because diet culture had me scared of fruit. So I wasn't eating a lot. I would do like the apples and berries, kind of the low glycemic stuff and everything. And I did that. I would try raw like countless times between 2004 and 2014. And I also did other diets in there. I was working at the health store, so I was exposed to like the Weston A. Price stuff. I did the raw animal product thing. I did, oh my gosh, like blood type diet and fasting and juice. Like I did all of those things back when I was working at the health food store. But I would always resonate most with raw. I'm like, why can't I stick to a raw diet? I couldn't figure it out. So one day, when I quit the health food store, I quit in like 2013, give or take, like 2012, 2013, to do my photography, my professional photography full time. So I was doing weddings, newborn couples, family photos, and all that stuff. I had my own studio. I was doing boudoir photography full time. It was my passion to do that. And while I thought, I was like, okay, if I quit my job, because I was working two jobs, I was working my full-time job at the health store and then my full-time photography. So it was like, I had to let one of them go because I was just way too stressed out. And so I dropped the health food store and I went full-time with my photography. And I was like, okay, now that I have this extra time, I'm going to like be healthy and I'm going to take care of myself and exercise and everything. And that didn't happen. It's like, you think you're going to have you think you're going to have all this time, like, oh, the kitchen's right there. Well, yeah, but you still have to plan and prepare and do the things that you need to do because you're just going to default to your old habits, which I did. And so in 2013, I joined the gym and I hired a personal trainer and I did 2 months on a very low calorie, sort of like a keto paleo style of diet. And I had to do my food journal every day and my personal trainer would check it off. And looking back on my journals, because I have all those journals with her checks and like her notes and stuff, she was checking off an 800 to 1200 calorie day.
Wow, that's so low.
Yeah, it was super low. And she even sent me home from the gym a couple times because I couldn't like even hit my own, like what I was like supposed to be doing that day. Like I was doing the pull-up machine and I couldn't even do it. I was just like so low in energy. I felt okay because I wasn't eating junk food. but I didn't have the energy. My acne was flaring up. I had excruciating joint pain. Like it wasn't fun. I did lose a little bit of weight, obviously doing that. I was working out like 5-6 times a week with her 3 times a week, trying to like get this transformation for this challenge. After those 2 months, I went on, like I just ate whatever I wanted. Cause I was like, well, if it's going to take this much work to lose weight, I don't even care. So I just started eating whatever. And that period of time was when I was eating the worst. So it was like Doritos for breakfast, like gas station lunches, like chicken, potatoes and candy and chocolate bars. And I was drinking alcohol during the day when my ex was at work.
Wow.
And yeah, like I got into like this really intense moment in my life where I was just eating everything and anything. And then in 2014, I was 34 at the time, and I was having these like heart flutters. So I had all the things. I was overweight. I had acne, cystic acne that was like hard under the skin that hurt so bad. Joint pain, like mood irregularities, all kinds of stuff. But I had these heart flutters, and I would wake up like maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 nights out of the week with these heart flutters, like early in the morning. And I drank 1 to 2 energy drinks a day with coffees. Like I was really over the deep end, even though I knew I should probably not be doing that stuff. I was stuck in it. So I would wake up with these heart flutters. And one morning I was like, every time I'd wake up with them, I would feel like, what would it be like to actually die from a heart attack? Like, is this what a heart attack feels like? Like, what if it actually stopped and then I died? And then I wouldn't be able to get back to sleep. And I hated sleeping so much. It was like, I dreaded going to bed because I knew I was probably going to wake up with this heart flutter thing. And then during the day, I would have like shortness of breath. Like I'd be like I try so hard to catch my breath, but I would never be satisfied with my breath. And I couldn't figure it out. Obviously it was the energy drinks and the coffee and the caffeine and the junk and everything else. But so that morning, it was September 12th, 2014, I woke up and I was like, I need to go raw again. I need to do something. I have to get, like, otherwise I am going to die of some kind of thing. And I don't want to yet. I'm not ready. So I woke up and I was like, okay, I'm going to go raw, but I need to figure out why I could never stick to it. I think the longest in those 10 years that I went raw was like 2 months. But it was really a struggle. Like I loved it, but I was constantly like, is this right? I feel like detox symptoms and all these things that I was feeling that I couldn't figure out why I was feeling them. So I started watching a lot of YouTube. I came across one video, and in the comment section, someone said, oh, if you want to go vegan in a day, watch Cowspiracy, Earthlings, and Forks Over Knives. So I was like, sweet. Okay. So I'm going to watch some documentaries. Watched those 3. I was instantly vegan. I'd never had the vegan connection before. So like whenever I do raw, it was like default vegan, plant-based, whatever, because I never had that connection. So this day I became vegan. I was vegan. It didn't matter if it was raw or cooked or what, I was vegan. So, and then I thought, I'm like, well, if I'm going to be raw anyways, I actually assumed most vegans were either all raw or high raw, because I never really ventured into, I never did like an actual cooked food vegan diet. So when I went vegan, I was like, might as well go raw at the same time. Might as well give up alcohol at the same time. Might as well give up coffee at the same time. So overnight, did that. And so, yeah, I did have like 10 years of experience of like trying it, but it was like this day. And I think it was the vegan connection that did it for me, because when I realized what I was paying for and what I was being part of, I was like, I don't want to be part of that, but I also don't want to be a part of any like junk food and everything else either. So I did that. I went raw overnight. And that day I was like, I didn't really have like too much to eat. We went to the grocery store and bought some stuff, and I had a little salad, and I had my lunch and a smoothie, and I had to clean out my cupboards. And my ex was like, oh, I'll try some with you. So he did eat like quite a bit more raw, but it was like an intense time to change over. And the first little while I was like feeling kind of like, I was like worried that it was going to be the same thing. Like I was going to have struggles and everything. So I joined some groups on Facebook and everyone was like, eat enough, make sure you eat enough. So I started eating more calories. Even though I was scared of eating more calories, I was also scared of doing the low fat version, which I had never done before. So I was scared of fruit. I was scared of low fat. I was scared of calories because that's what I had been taught in the diet culture industry. Like you have to cut your calories. You have to not eat fruit. You need to eat high fat because the fat we eat burns fat or whatever. Like I believed all of that stuff. So I was like, you know, conscious of it. I'm like, I don't know, let's just try because there's people out there doing it. So might as well, even if I just did it for a couple months, at least I could try it and give it a try. So I started eating more. I started eating between 2,100 and 2,300 calories a day at 10% fat. And I had no cravings because I was nourishing myself. I was no longer under eating like I was at the gym. I was now satiating myself. I was eating massive, massive salads. I was eating a mix of both fruit and greens and veggies and sprouts and like all kinds of stuff. I was eating a wide variety of foods. And I felt amazing. And over 14 months, then I lost 70 pounds and I healed my cystic acne that I had my entire adult life. My hormones finally stabilized. Like I used to have a period, like maybe 1 to 4 times a year.
Wow.
And they were always really painful. Yeah. Throughout my entire, and I did lots of stuff. Like I've done the gallbladder flush and the parasite zapping and the mass countless times. Like I've done all that stuff. I did it all. And it wasn't until I changed the foundation of what I was eating every day. I didn't need to do anything. I just had to eat whole food and sleep and hydrate and, you know, do the things that we're told to do.
Yeah.
Right. So I didn't have to do it. I didn't take any herbals. I didn't take any vitamins. I didn't do any cleanses or detoxes or anything. Just had to heal my gut microbiome. And I actually also had candida for 15 years, systemic candida, which was causing yeast and bladder infections. I would have a bladder infection like every 2 months.
Wow.
And I'd have to go on I remember a couple times I had to go on antibiotics because it had like worked its way up towards my kidneys. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a problem. So it was changing the foundation of my diet that brought all the health to me. So that's my story in a nutshell.
What a story. And I think it's so amazing and such a good point when you say like, you don't have the cravings because of the amount of calories you were eating. So I eat a lot of calories too. Like sometimes even like way too much calories with the creamy dressings and the ice creams and stuff. Sometimes like 3,000 or 4,000, it gets kind of crazy. But I think that's why I don't have cravings either. So I think a lot of the time when people have cravings, they're not eating enough, right?
Yeah, that I'm actually coming out with a cravings mini course. It's called Checkmate Your Cravings.
Yeah.
It's coming out in April and it's a whole mini course. There's like 30 videos in there about cravings. And the number one thing that causes cravings is not eating enough, because you can use all of the, I call it like a tree, right? You've got your tree of not eating enough. And then you've got all the branches of all the reasons why you want to eat whatever you want to eat, like social gatherings, you're tired, you're stressed, blah, 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 blah. All that stems from not eating enough. Because if you eat enough and you go to the grocery store on a full stomach, you're not going to really crave much. You're gonna be like, oh, I'm just going to go get my cilantro and corn and I'm good. Right.
Yeah.
But if you go on an empty stomach, everything looks good. Right. If you go out with friends, if you are going out with friends on a full stomach, like you ate your big giant salad, you go out with friends, you're less tempted to have that stuff because you filled up yourself first. We always should fill ourselves up first. And then it's like so much, it's like better than willpower. We don't even need willpower. We just need to eat. We just need to eat enough. It's so simple.
Yeah. And I think that's why so many people say they feel tired or they feel weak because they're not eating enough. And I think it's so easy to compare it to like the way they used to eat and the portions of like a typical dinner on the standard American diet or something. You have to eat more, like the foods digest so fast. And I love that about you. I love the abundance and I love the variety of foods and your foods. Like I will link all your information below. I personally, like, you have the most beautiful Instagram page. And I think you have the most beautiful recipes and foods in the industry, in the game. It's just incredible. And I just want to ask, like, So right now, what do you typically eat in a day? Currently, do you keep it low fats or how do you keep your fats?
Yeah, so right now, I mean, like we're always gonna shift, right? Like it depends on
Yeah.
what we feel like eating and stuff. So it's like I value my body and I nourish my body with whatever raw foods I feel like eating. But yeah, we aim to stay at the 10% range. To right now, over the last 2 months, Nate and I have started, we've been really, really, really working very diligently on fixing our sleep because it's easy to stay up till midnight. It's easy
Mm-hmm.
to work late. It's easy to do that. And I read a book called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. And I was like, okay, we really need to like get on point with our sleep because
Yeah,
yeah, it's almost, I believe now sleep is more important than diet.
me
Like,
too.
yeah, diet's amazing. We need to like, they each have their own like amazing stuff. Like diet
Yeah.
will never replace what sleep can do.
Hmm.
Diet will never replace what exercise can do. Diet will never replace what being out in nature can do, right? Like we need all these things and we put so much emphasis on the diet, but we don't really put much into the other things. So
So true.
yeah. So we're like, okay, let's work on our sleep. So we're going to bed around 9 o'clock, 8:45, 9 o'clock. That's when we go to bed. And we're up naturally without an alarm clock at 5.
Wow.
15. And I'm like, I've never been a morning person. We used to do the 5 a.m. club, but it was a challenge because I would like be forcing myself to get up at 5 to do it.
Hmm.
And we had a great time. Like we felt good because we're doing the power hour in the morning. This was about 2 years ago. We did that. But it was always a challenge to like get up in the morning. And now
Hmm.
that we've been really working on our evening routine, like no screens after 7, like we don't watch TV or anything after 7. We have the blue light blockers on our phones and our laptops for the evening, like before 7. We go for a walk in the dark as well. I know we live in Vegas and it's like lights
Yeah.
everywhere, but yeah, like in the little neighborhood that we're in, we try to stay where it's dark. And then we do our night routine, we stretch, we do our skincare. I like to do my skincare. And then we read for a little bit with orange lights. So it's not the blue light. And
Yeah.
that has been so helpful. I think the number one thing that's been the most helpful to me has been in the early morning, like right when we get up, we eat. So
Hmm.
that's been a big thing too. And we expose ourselves to sunlight early in the morning. So we go for our
Hmm.
hour and a half walk to get our 10,000 steps in early in the morning. And this is only in the last 2 months. Like
Wow.
we've really changed a lot. So for eating in the last 2 months, because we've been changing our sleep up, now as soon as we get up, like 5:30 ish or
Hmm.
so, I eat around 500 calories, 400, 500 calories with just fruit. And I mix it up. I eat whatever we have, like
Yeah.
bananas, grapefruit, oranges. And I like to have a variety because I'm big on variety. Like
Yeah.
the more variety, the better. I
Yeah.
rarely do any mono meals or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's a snack to me. But yeah, so we'll do fruit, 400
Yeah.
calories of fruit in the morning. And then we have something called second breakfast now, which is a smoothie after our walk. So as soon as
Yeah.
we get back from our walk, we take a dip in the hot tub and then we have our smoothie. Then we have our lunch at around like 12:30 or 1 o'clock ish. We'll have our salad with our low fat dressing. So if we use any fats in the lunch dressing, it's typically chia or flax to get our omega-3. And then dinner is another salad with our creamier dressing, or like tonight we're going to make raw tacos. So we're going to have the sour cream and the nacho cheese sauce and the taco meat and the avocado. So yeah, we keep it basically almost no fat other than chia and flax during the day. And then we do our creamier dressing with our salad at night. So, and I
Yeah.
aim for 2,400 calories. And it's just, it feels so good. I just
Yeah.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah. And you look so good. Yeah. It makes you feel so good doing that. And I have to say, like, it must be so nice to have a partner where you're so in alignment with all these things. Like, what a blessing for you, right?
Yeah, our story. Like I'm definitely incredibly blessed to have Nate in my life because I've had partners, 2 partners, 3 partners actually before Nate, who weren't raw vegan. And it was like, I don't want to say it was a challenge because it's challenging no matter what. Like, even when you have
Mhm.
someone with you, right? Because it's like, you've got work and you've got things you want to do and everything, right? You get lazy. I mean, I'm a human being too, right? I
Mhm.
get lazy. I don't want to
Yeah.
make my lunch. But we have to plan, we have to prepare and everything. And the boyfriend that I had before Nate was like not even close to like vegan or anything. Like, he drank a lot of alcohol and he ate whatever he wanted to eat. But I was just like, in myself, I'm like, I'm just gonna do me. I
And
just,
you were raw then, right?
yeah, oh yeah, I was raw the entire time through all of the partners that I've had.
Mhm.
Raw the whole time. I didn't even taste their stuff. Like, I would make my ex-boyfriend before Nate these like vegan patties because I knew he liked them, and I knew if I made them, he would eat them, and I knew that an animal wasn't being harmed. So I'm
Mhm.
like, I will take one Sunday a month, and I would spend like 6 hours in the kitchen, and I would make him 50 burger
Yeah.
patties. And it was like mushrooms and onions and zucchini and oats and beans and whatever. Like, I would make these like patties, and I would like cook them all and then freeze them all. And then he would just come home from work and heat it up and eat it as a sandwich or whatever. And I'm like, at least there's no animals dying. But I would do that for them, and I would just make their food because it was an act of service,
Mhm.
not only for him, but for the animals. Like, I was doing it for the animals. I didn't want animals to die because he was just going to eat whatever anyways. So I'm like, might as well be something good, right? So
Mhm.
I did that for him. And yeah, like, I would make meals for even Nate's kids. We've made stuff for them as well. And it's like, we're so focused on what we want to eat and what we want to do that we don't really concern ourselves with what everyone else is doing. Cause it's like, I
Mhm.
feel good on raw and I'm going to eat raw. So
Mhm.
yeah, but it is really nice to have someone on the same page because we eat the same thing every day. Like, when we decide, it's like, it would be like if we were just choosing standard North American, we'd be like, what do you want tonight? Whatever. It's the same thing, but
Mhm.
it's in the raw version, which is really fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think so many people struggle because they have family members like the ex you used to have, or friends, like, especially if they're in a household where they want to try be raw or they want to be raw and the family around them, they're not raw.
Mhm.
So they really struggle. Like, do you have any tips for those people? I know a lot of people comment on my channel all the time. Like, that's like a big struggle for people.
Yeah. So when we're making stuff for others, what I found worked best for me was, number one, again, it comes down to eating enough. If you have your salad first, start eating your salad while you're making their food, because then you're keeping your mouth busy, you're fueling
Mhm.
up. And plus, our salads are so massive that it's nice to get a little head start on those
Mhm.
anyways. Another thing that I like to suggest too is to include some of your raw with their cooked. So what we would do when Nate's boys were living with us, they're off doing their own thing now. But when they were living with us, we would make our raw stuff and then we would add a little bit of cooked food to it for theirs. So for example, I'll give 2 examples really quick. The raw chili. We would, 3 examples actually,
Mhm.
like, just to help the people out.
Yeah, that's good.
So yeah, raw chili. So what we would do is we would make our raw chili with a raw cashew sour cream. We would, for the boys, while we were making all the stuff and chopping everything for the chili, we would bake them some sweet potatoes. So we just cut the sweet potato and bake it. And then we would put some of the chili into the sweet potato, bake it again, and then
Mhm.
top with cashew sour cream. So we're both having raw chili. Theirs is just baked, and they
Mhm.
have the sweet potato or yam or whatever. The second one would be having the marinara. Like, Nate and I like to make a marinated mushroom marinara on cucumber noodles or zoodles or whatever. So we would just make regular pasta for the boys. And in the pot, we would just add some of our veggies and marinara into theirs and heat it up. And then we would all be having the same thing. So really, we're just
Mhm.
making their pasta and heating up the sauce in the same
Mhm.
pot. Like, it was super easy to do it that way. The third one would be like stir fries. Like, we'd make my ramen recipe from Meal Plan 2, and we would
Mhm.
make like extra, and then we would do a stir fry for the boys, and we would just put all the veggies into the stir fry with their noodles or whatever their sauce is and stuff. So we
Mhm.
would have our ramen and they would have their stir fry. And it was way less prep because we're chopping anyway. So might as well chop extra for theirs. And that way they get to have more vegetables and more like semi-raw stuff, right? Or we'll make a big salad. And if they were having like, if they made themselves nachos or a burrito, they would make a lot of burritos. And they're both vegan. So there was no animal products, but they would make their burritos. And then we would make a big salad. We'd just chop an extra head or two of lettuce, and they would have salad to go with their burrito as well. So just little things that you can do to do that. And always remember, I would always focus on not thinking of their meal or my meal as an inconvenience, because that way it becomes a chore and you're just like dragging your butt around like, oh my God, I have to do this. But if you think of both meals as gifts, like if you're making something cooked for your family, that's a gift for them. You're making something raw for yourself, and that's a gift for you. Yes, it takes more time, but if that's what you truly want, then right, it's a gift for yourself. So yeah, those would be some tips for people who have to make food for others.
Yeah, those are great tips. So I want to ask too, I know you're from Canada where I am, and it's quite cold. It's snowing here right now, actually. So I want to ask, if you were still in Canada, do you think that you would still be maintaining the raw food diet? Because you're in Vegas right now, which is amazing.
Yes, 100%. I would still be raw. My first 5 years raw. So I've been raw now, so like just over 7 years, I would say almost 7.5. And the first 5 years were in Canada. The first 5 winters were in Edmonton, Alberta, where, I mean, it's cold. And
it's cold.
Like minus 47 with the wind chill. Woo, it's intense. But the fruit wasn't so great. Like I did a lot of apples, bananas, grapes. The nectarines weren't that great. Mangoes, we only had good mangoes for like 3 or 4 months out of the year. And like, there were some good fruit. Like, I'm not saying it was horrible or anything, but I had to really stick to the less expensive ones. Cause like sometimes pineapples would be like $7 for one pineapple. I'm like, what? Here in Vegas, they're like $1. I'm like,
wow.
What? Yeah. So,
that's amazing.
I made it work. And it worked for me because I wanted to make it work. So I did a lot of greens. And I think that's another reason why I didn't do like the all fruit. I'm not into the all fruit idea. I'm way more into the variety. And so I ate a lot of salads, and that's where, I started with salads. I was eating so many salads because I was able to enjoy it. I got my date-based dressing or my fruit-based dressing for the calories. And then I just ate massive salads all the time. And I think that's really part of why my health improved so much for me, because my gut improved with but yeah, it was challenging in Canada, but
yeah, you just feel so good. That's why I do it. I just feel so good, even in the winter. And there's tips and tricks and so many things you can do. And like you were saying though, too, like I'm a big believer in such a huge variety for the gut microbiome. So I think that's how you have the strongest immune system. And I just think that just is so key, so important. I'm wondering, have you ever done a gut microbiome test? I'm about to do one in a couple of weeks.
Yes, we did ours. Yeah, we did ours in, we got the Ombre Lab one. So I know there's a bunch of different companies, but we did the Ombre Lab because we saw a Black Friday sale. So in November, we bought 2 kits. We did them I believe we did them in January. We sent them off in January, and they're super easy to do. You just like take a rice.
I wondered. I was like, how do I do this? Okay.
So easy. So you get the box in the mail, and then you do in the morning, you take your poo and you take try to keep it as sterile as possible, but you take the little Q-tip that they give you and you take a rice size sample. So like a tiny little bit, that's all you need. And then you mix it in like this solution that they give you. You zip it up in their little bag and you just mail the kit back. So I know in Canada, I think Viome is the one.
That's what I got, the Viome.
Yeah. And it's comparable to Ombre Lab, but Ombre doesn't do international right now. So that's why I say like for Canada, Viome is a good test because it's comparable. So the average test score that they get at Ombre is 62% of like, well, the wellness score. So you get, the average person is at 62%. And I've heard people have DM'd me because they've done the same test. And I've heard anywhere from, I think the lowest I heard was 32% for their wellness score, up to about, I think I heard 79%. So that was the average of the people who've been messaging me with their results. So the average is 62. Nate and I both got 83% for our wellness score.
Yeah.
And for diversity score, I got 95% for diversity, and Nate got 93%. I think he was like a couple percent lower than me. But
so for diversity of gut microbiome, right?
Yeah. Diversity of bacteria in your gut microbiome. And then the wellness score is kind of like the levels of those bacteria. So you can have a lot of bacteria, but you can have like lots of one and like less of all the other ones. So you also want to balance out your bacteria, because again, sometimes like you have way too many of a certain group, but not enough of the other ones. So now I'm currently working on helping these guys to grow bigger and like lessening the other ones. So it's more of a balance, right? Because we want to have balance. And the gut microbiome is so unique to every single individual. And that's why I feel like some people feel like when they eat, for example, broccoli, like I eat a ton of broccoli and cauliflower and kale and like all of the rough greens, and I have no problems with them. I actually feel amazing eating those. But then there's some people, if they're on the 30% wellness score, if they ate broccoli and kale, it might irritate their gut, because it's not the food that's irritating the gut, it's the weak gut microbiome that they have. And in those cases, we would say start slower with those. Like, you don't need to eat 3 cups of broccoli, just have 1 floret in your salad. And we believe that instead of having like large amounts of only 1 or 2 or 3 foods, it's easier to have small amounts of like 12 or 15 foods. So you're still getting a good volume, but you're getting way more variety by having small amounts of all kinds of things in there. So like our salad will have like 20 things in it. We'll put romaine and mixed greens and spinach and kale and radicchio and sunchokes and fennel and endive and tomatoes and cucumbers and zucchini and bell peppers. Like we'll like just chop up absolutely anything we can think of. And we'll put sauerkraut in there or fermented vegetables, like just little bits, because we'd rather have lots of like a whole bunch of little tiny things in our salad to feed our gut microbiome. And it's shown in our test. So so when we got our test back, when you get the test back, they have like your top foods to eat more of and the top foods that they say avoid. The thing is, like, people feel like, oh, I can't eat that food anymore. And that's not what it is. It's not like an allergy test or whatever. It just means like your avoid list means that already feeds the bacteria that you have a lot of. So on my avoid list, there's like pineapple and kiwi, which feed the bacteria that I already have way too much of. So I don't need to eat. I can still eat it. It doesn't mean that I can't. It just means that those foods feed stuff that I already have a lot of. So I have to eat more of the foods that are feeding the little guys, the little colonies, which for me, everyone has different foods, like most overlap for the most part, but my foods were sunchoke or Jerusalem artichoke, fennel, endive, asparagus, pears, and apricots, and dragon fruit. Those were on my list. And I was like, those are all foods that I really don't eat. So I need to start including those into my diet. And the reason we did the gut microbiome test was not because we had any digestive issues or anything. We were just curious and proactive. We want to see what's going on in there and see if there's anything that we could do better. So we have changed our diet slightly by including more of those foods. So I eat sunchokes almost every single day. All I do is like grate 1 little sunchoke in my salad. Like you can't even tell that it's in there. I'll just chop like a little bit of fennel and add it in. And I also have fennel seeds that I keep on the desk out here because we eat out here on the couch. But I'll put like 1/8 or half a teaspoon of fennel seeds on my salad every single night. And we're going to be doing another gut microbiome test in May, June to see how all of those changes have affected our gut microbiome. So we're really excited to see how that's. improve.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. I love it. So
Mhm.
I want to say too, have you noticed a difference in so do you think people experience bloating and gas because of their gut microbiome? Like I know a lot of people when they first transition, they think the diet's not working or the raw foods are causing them like bloating and gas. But do you think that's essentially because their gut microbiome needs more diversity, rebuilding and changing? And did you notice a difference in bloating and gas digestion when you first transitioned to raw versus now?
Yeah, so definitely. I believe that the majority of the reason why people have gas and bloating when they first start is a weak microbiome. Because especially if you're coming from a very low fiber diet, whether you've come off a fast
Mhm.
or even juice is like super low fiber,
Mhm.
and animal products, processed foods, like all of those kinds of diets and lifestyles and detoxes and stuff, they're very, very, very low fiber. So if you're coming from a really low fiber diet and then you start eating high fiber, your gut is like, I can't deal with all this fiber. And so you get gas, bloating, digestive upset, that kind of thing. So it's recommended, like if people go raw and they have gas and bloating, to just pull back a little bit and just start slower. Like do the cooked foods that are okay for you right now, like whole food, plant-based, obviously, like get rid of the oil and the salt and the animal products, but just do like the whole food that feels okay right now and add small amounts of those other foods until you can build up. Like every week, add a little bit more, add new variety, try new things. And a lot of people will be like, oh, well, I need to eat like kale or whatever. So they buy like a big bunch of kale and they make a huge kale salad. And then they're like,
Mhm.
oh, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Kale's bad because the fiber hurts my digestion. That's not the case. It's like instead buy your bunch of kale and put like half of a leaf in your salad one day. Like get a small
Mhm.
bunch so it lasts a little longer. But instead
Mhm.
of eating the whole bunch right off the bat, have a little bit in your salad with your romaine or your soft tender greens or whatever, just to add a little bit. Add one little floret of broccoli, add one sunchoke, add one like half of an endive. Add like small amounts of these foods so that your gut is like, okay, I can deal with this. It's kind
Mhm.
of like going to the gym. I like to use the gym as a great example because it's just like your muscles. Your gut microbiome is almost like a muscle in a way.
Mhm.
And if you go to the gym and you start, like, you haven't gone to the gym in a month, like most people, some people haven't eaten broccoli in a month or beans in a month or whatever. And then when you do, it's like, whoa, too much. So if you go to the gym, you can't just like go pick up the 80-pound weights and just like have a great time, right? Your
Mhm.
muscles aren't ready for 80 pounds. So
Mhm.
start with the fives. Start with the fives and do 5 pounds for a week or two. And then do the 10 pounds and do that for a week or two. And then go up to 12 and do that for a week or two until eventually, over the months and years, then suddenly one day you're able to do the 80 pounds, no problem. But you have to work your way up. And the same is true with the gut microbiome. We're so concerned with like simplicity and like minimalism, right? Like it's great.
Mhm.
Minimalism is great for your closet, but not for the
Mhm.
gut. Like eating a very
Mhm.
minimal amount of variety is almost like a monocrop in your gut,
Mhm.
right? We
And I think
value,
that's common, like people to just get
yeah,
hooked on buying the same thing every week. Yeah.
yeah, or they value the simplicity. Like they want to eat simple, so they only want 3 ingredients.
Mhm.
But the problem is that's a monoculture in your gut. And you're only going to grow the bacteria that eat those foods. So then when you do eat other things, you're like, I can't digest that because you don't
Mhm.
have the gut bacteria to digest that. So it's better to have a wider range because we value biodiversity in our forests, in
Mhm.
nature. We want to have, like, everyone's like, oh, the mono crops, like that's not good, but that's what we're doing in our guts when we eat
Mhm.
too simply. So
Mhm.
we need to get that biodiversity and get more variety into our bodies so our gut
Yeah.
thrives. And it's like new science, right? So a lot
Mhm.
of the older beliefs, like some like from like 20, 30 years ago, don't necessarily resonate anymore.
Fiber
Yeah,
fueled. Have you
fiber
read that?
fueled.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's like my favorite book on that. It's so
yeah,
good.
yeah,
And I think
totally.
like the gut is so connected to the mind and the brain. I think people do not realize like how they feed their gut. They're essentially feeding their mind, their brain. So I want to ask you too, like, have you noticed a big difference from your previous lifestyle versus being raw now, like in your mind and your happiness?
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. Way happier, way happier. When I was eating like whatever I wanted to, I was pretty mean to people, and I hated that. But I was just like, I was irritable. I was
Me
always
too.
irritated by every little thing. And it was just coming out, and I didn't want to be, because like deep in my soul, I'm a loving person and I care about people. But like when you're under eating and you're not eating the proper foods, it can be really hard to stay like level-headed. Plus, if your gut microbiome's not making an adequate amount of serotonin, then you're going to feel like under the weather in the mindset for just because you're not eating the proper food. So yeah, definitely changed a lot about my mood and my outlook on life. Like that kind of stuff has changed a lot since I went raw. So
Yeah. And it's not so many of the ups and downs, right? Like with sugar, coffee,
oh my
alcohol,
God.
that stuff, you just
Yeah.
wake up feeling so awake. Like it's just more of a natural, like steady, like high, like on this lifestyle.
Yeah, definitely. I feel so much better. And even just adding more sleep, like fixing the sleep. I like to say like my life changed when I went raw, and it's changing again because I'm changing my sleep. Like the sleep is life changing. Like as
It's
much as
life
people are like,
changing.
it is life changing. As much as people say like, oh, my life changed when I went raw. Yes, your life changes when you go raw for sure. But when you get your sleep down, you're like, why wasn't I doing this? Like, why was I not
Right.
doing this?
Yeah, my daughter
Yeah.
wakes up every night and she has for a couple years, and it's just like I can't wait till the day like I'm sleeping like 8 hours again or even like 6. I think sleep is so key, and I think it's so key for people staying on track with how they choose to eat, because if you don't get enough sleep and you wake up super tired, it's
Mhm.
just so much easier to be like when you feel like crap to just eat the crap. You know what I mean? To
Yep.
just be like, who cares? I'm just going to have that because I feel like crap anyway because I didn't sleep, right?
Yep, totally.
So I'm wondering too, have you experienced, I know a lot of people talk about deterioration on the raw vegan diet, right? Personally, I haven't experienced any. I haven't missed one period. I haven't experienced literally like anything. So I'm wondering, have you had troubles with periods or with dental or loss of hair or like any of the classic vegan or raw vegan symptoms people talk about?
No, I have not. And I attribute that to my like a higher calorie. So I'm eating enough.
Hmm. I
Also, the
agree.
fact that I'm eating a lot of variety. So I'm not limiting myself to certain things or extracting the fiber or doing anything like that. I'm eating
Hmm.
whole food. I'm eating a wide variety. And I value vegetables and greens as much as I value fruit. Like they're both important on a raw diet, in my opinion. And I have never experienced any of those things. Like my hair is like awesome for
Hmm.
being raw for over 7 years. And
Hmm.
like I did experience a little hair breakage, but it was because I was going to hot yoga. I was going to hot yoga and I would put my hair up in a tight elastic.
Hmm.
And in the hot yoga room, it was like super sweaty and it was almost like a sauna. And when I went
Hmm.
to get my hair done, the hairdresser was like, so you use an elastic with wet hair, don't you? And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, I can tell that you use an elastic with wet hair. And I was like, oh yeah, I do at hot
Yeah.
yoga. She's like, stop that right now, because it was like breaking around the crown. And she's like, it happens all the time to all kinds of people. So it had nothing to do with my diet. It was
Hmm.
all the fact that I was wearing my hair in like the tight elastic. And I didn't know. So
Yeah, no, I wouldn't know either. Wow, interesting.
yeah, so that was during that time. And obviously during times of stress, most people are like overly stressed, they're not eating
Hmm.
enough, and those are the top two reasons why people lose their hair, their metabolism. Like people are like, I'm so cold when I eat raw all the time, I'm so cold.
Hmm.
And it's likely because they're not eating enough, because your body has a furnace, an internal furnace, and when you eat fuel, your body then burns that fuel as energy and it creates heat. So you feel naturally warmer when you eat enough. But when you're
Hmm.
under eating, you're going to feel cold all the time because your body is like, okay, we're in a state of starvation here. So I'm going to shut down the metabolism or down regulate it. I'm going to down regulate your hormones, because we don't have enough energy to burn for fuel, and we don't have enough coming in to support life. So we're going to go into conservation mode here. We're going to hold on to everything that you're eating. You're going to feel cold. You're going to miss a period. And because you're not getting enough minerals or calories, you're going to start losing your hair too. So I feel like the people that I've worked with and coached over the last, oh gosh, it's almost going to be like in 2.5 years, it'll be a decade. I can't believe it. But like over these years that I've coached all these people, as soon as they start eating enough, if they do it consistently and they eat variety, they always come back and they message me and be like, that was the missing piece. That was why I was losing my hair. That was why I wasn't getting my period. That was why I was feeling cold all the time. That was why I was having cravings. They're like, I'm satiated now, finally. It's
amazing.
Freedom. Yeah, totally.
So true. So I'm wondering, do you take protein powders and do you supplement?
No protein powders. We eat a lot of sprouts.
That's good.
Yeah, like Nate is just like hardcore into the sprouting and the microgreens. Like we have a whole rack in our office with trays and trays of microgreens, because we'll just like put like tons and tons of different varieties and everything into our salads. But we eat a lot of sprouts. So I would say on average, anywhere between 1 to 2 cups of lentil, mung, or broccoli or whatever sprouts every day. So we're eating a lot of sprouts. And that's where we get our protein from. I mean, we get it, it's in everything anyways, and we eat enough. So I don't worry about it. I get on average anywhere between 50 and 70 or more grams of protein a day. So it's not a concern for me. But we do take B12, not every day, but like every couple days or a week or whatever. Whenever we remember, I was like, I'm like, yeah, it's been a while since we have B12. But we'll take a B12. We take D in the winter, or if we're inside all day, or we've been 3 days inside, then we'll take some D or whatever. But vitamin B12 and D, I don't believe are diet vitamins. They're not meant to be acquired from our diet. They're meant to be acquired from our environment, right? So it's not the vegan diet that's lacking. It's our modern life that's lacking, because we don't have access to wild soil, right? So all our produce is washed and clean. I mean, there's bacteria. There's bacteria on all of our produce, but we don't spend enough time outside either. We're in buildings, we're in our houses, like we don't get enough natural sunlight. So B12 and D are more environmental vitamins. And because we live in a high rise in Vegas, we take B12 and D.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great points. And I'm wondering, I know a lot of people struggle with feeling full. So I feel like you don't struggle with that, like with how you eat and the lifestyle and the abundance. Is that something that you've ever struggled with? And do you have any tips for people out there? Because I know a lot of people say, I just can't do it because I always feel full.
Eat earlier. Eat earlier in the day. Like that's like the magic number to get enough calories in, is to eat earlier in the day. So if you're eating at like, for me, for example, for us, we'll eat early, like I said, like 6 o'clock or something. Because if you get a lot of your calories early in the day, it's easier to eat your lunch and your dinner, right? But if you're trying to restrict your eating windows for even just 6 hours, right? Like there is no way that I would enjoy consuming 2,400 calories in 6 hours of raw food. 2,400 calories of cooked food, easy, because it's so concentrated, and oils and fats or whatever else you put in there, easy, right? And I feel like some of those like time window things were made trendy by the higher fat diet people, because they like, if you're eating high fat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you can easily overeat in calories, easily. So they're like, well, if you only eat once a day, then you only need to eat, like X amount of calories. So, but on a raw diet, because the volume, like you're eating like these massive salads, your stomach is only so big, right? So you have to eat more often and throughout the day. And I find the days when I'm eating early, get up early, eat early, get your smoothie in, right? Like around 9. So we eat at 6 o'clock ish. And then again at around 9 o'clock, we have our second breakfast, lunch at noon or 1. dinner at 5, we get 2,400 calories easy, and we don't feel stuffed all the time. But if we slept in till like 9, like on the weekend, right? You sleep until 9 or whatever. And then you get up, you putz around, you don't eat breakfast until 10 or 10:30 or 11. And then it's like, or it's already lunchtime and you've only had 600 calories. And then you're like, okay, well, then maybe I'll skip lunch, right? Because I'm full from breakfast. And then you don't eat until like 4. Maybe you're hungry at 4 or 5 and you eat your dinner and you've only had like 1,200 calories, but you don't want to eat before you go to bed. Or maybe you stay up late and have something later, but really I believe on a raw diet, like you can throw all of the food rules out the window and just eat enough and just learn about what that looks like. Learn what 400 calories of fruit looks like. Learn what a 600 calorie smoothie looks like. Learn what a 700 calorie salad looks like. And then you just pick and choose. And you don't have to track after that. You just have to learn first what it looks like and then move into that. So yeah, I mean, the salads are big, but if I spread the meals out further, then it's a lot easier to actually like be hungry at lunchtime or be hungry at dinner time. Instead of like constantly like, oh, I'm like so stuffed for lunch. I don't want to eat dinner, right? Because you ate lunch late, because you ate breakfast late. So yeah, that's what I would say. Start eating earlier.
Yeah, smart. I never thought of that. Smart. You're just saying so many amazing things in this. I'm so happy to have you on. So I want to know too, where do you think you would be right now if you hadn't gone down this raw vegan path?
Oh, that's a good question. I know Nate and I were actually talking about that the other day. It's like, where would we be? And he's like, I don't even want to think about it.
That's what everyone says. I love asking people that question. Everyone says that. I don't want to even think about it.
Yeah, it's like, where would I be? And I feel like a lot of people, when they go raw and they don't get like the amazing healing that they experience, because I don't believe that raw food is the cure all, be all, end all of immortality and perfect immunity for everything. It's just a great way of supporting the body in whatever state your body is in. And some people heal, some people don't. And it's not like the raw diet is bad or it's not healing that person. It's like, we have to ask ourselves that same question that you just asked me. Where would I be if I didn't do raw? If I'm not fully healed, and there's no such thing as fully healed. There's never like you're just living your life in this body, and you're going to experience all kinds of things as your body changes. Like now coming into my 40s, like I'm 42 now. And it's like, I notice body changes because it's just life. Like we go through aging and we do all this kind of stuff. Nate's here. He wants to say, you want to say
yay.
Sure.
Hey, how's it going? What's up?
Good.
I love the hair.
Wild, isn't it?
It looks so good. How's it going?
It's going amazing. How about you?
I'm great. Things are really good.
Heck yes. Heck yeah. Whereabouts are you?
In Toronto.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So
Toronto, Canada.
Still winter.
Yep.
Yeah, it's snowing. It was really nice yesterday, but it's snowing today.
Wow. How
I know.
wild.
Here we are, like in the
Oh my gosh.
sun tanning on our roof.
Gosh, I know.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. Like just, how different it is in different areas. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Yeah.
glad you guys like Vegas, and you guys are so perfect together. I love it.
Thanks. Actually, yeah, I'm just getting ready to go grab some lettuce because we're out.
Nice. That's awesome.
Lettuce and bananas.
Awesome.
Yep, gotta have it.
Yeah.
Well, excellent. Well, I'll let you guys get back to it.
Okay.
Mwah.
Yeah. That's so great. It's nice to see him.
I don't know. Yeah, he's looking for my bank card, and I don't know.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he's like over here looking for it's probably in my jacket pocket.
I didn't see it.
No.
Okay.
Oh, the joys.
That's where mine always is too. My jacket pocket.
Yeah, I know it's easier than putting it in anything or in the bowl. My jacket. Oh, I know where it is. It's in my closet in one of the shelves.
Okay.
Yeah. I took it out of my pants to wash because we do those 90-minute walks. So I'm like, and I had the card in there just in case sometimes we're like, oh, you want to stop at the store? Like we walked like 45 minutes to a grocery store just to buy a couple of things of lettuce.
Yeah.
We're like, well, we're going to walk for our morning walk anyways. Yeah, he found it. Good.
That's great. And do you
Yeah.
guys have a lot of like raw vegan friends, or like how do you guys manage like socially as a couple? Do you hang out with like a lot of non-vegans, or how do you make it work?
I mean, we love being around people, but we aren't around a lot of people simply
Yeah.
because we have way too much work to do. Like
Mhm.
running Raw Food Romance is incredible amounts of work. Like I reply to every DM that I can. I reply to most comments. I run the YouTube channel. I write new books. Like right now we're working on 2 mini courses, my Checkmate Your Cravings mini course, and Nate's coming out with a course called Sprouts, Krauts, and Microgreens, growing living
Amazing.
food in your kitchen. And yeah, so he's working on that and I'm working on this. And so we don't really like do a lot of like social stuff. We're just more social with each other. We'll go for walks. We like to walk on the strip, the Vegas strip. We'll just drive down there because it's like 15 minutes away, or we'll walk there. Actually,
Yeah.
like tomorrow we're actually thinking of walking down to the strip.
That's
It's like an hour
nice.
and a half to walk there and an hour and a half to walk back. But if we start at 6 a.m, we'll be back by 9.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we are actually really good friends now with John Kohler.
He's awesome. I interviewed him. He's great. He's
Yeah,
such a character. I love him.
yeah, he's super cool.
Yeah.
When we got here, so we've been here for like 7 months or so. When we first got here, I saw John posted on his Instagram about the sale at one of the stores that's here. And I just commented on it. And I was like, now that we're here, I'm going to totally go down there and get whatever it was, blueberries or something. And he messaged me, he direct messaged me, was like, hey, you guys want to like hang out or whatever? And we're like, yeah, for sure. So we started hanging out. We go for like a hike, maybe like once a month with John. We had him over for Thanksgiving. It was just Nate and I and John Kohler for Thanksgiving. We made like the stuffing, the quiche, there was a raw pie. He made like a zoodle dish with an Alfredo sauce, and it was really fun. But he took us to a date farm in California, and we really enjoy hanging out with John. He's got this little dog, Oakley, and yeah, he's really, really super cool. We really enjoy hanging out with him, but we have a lot of friends too from like the Woodstock Fruit Festival, or that we found online. And we've had a couple people come to Vegas who are like, hey, I'm in Vegas, do you want to go for a hike? Most of the time we're not able to because we have like deadlines and we're not able to, but we do try to hang out if people come over. And we're like, let's just go for a hike.
That's nice. And you guys got married at the Woodstock Fruit Festival, right? Or am I wrong? Yeah. That's
we did. Yes, we did. So with that story, Nate, he bought my book, my Meal Plan Volume 1 that I released like 6 years ago. He bought that because he found me on YouTube. He was like researching raw food because he went skiing one day and he was just like a single skier. So when you go on the lift, they'll like bring another single. So there's like 2 people going up at the same time. And he was paired with this older guy, and they started talking on the ski lift going up there, and they started talking about food. And he was like, yeah, I healed my colorectal cancer at age 42 or 44. And I've been a raw foodie for 42 years or whatever. And Nate's like, you're 86? And we're going up to a Black Diamond run? Like, what? So yeah, and Nate was like the dude like took his glasses off and was like, they were talking about his mom because Nate's mom was raw at the time, and like was like, you should listen to your mom, Nate, like piercing into his soul. So Nate was like, okay, I'm gonna go raw. So he comes home and he's like starts searching online, and he found my YouTube channel. So he bought my book and he changed, and he lost 60 pounds and went to the Woodstock Fruit Festival that summer and met my friend Jack from Raw Tropical Living.
I know Jack,
yeah, Jack and him talked for like 4 hours. And then Jack's like, gets on the phone. He's like, oh yeah, Lissa's gotta interview you for her YouTube channel. So I got in contact with Nate, and then we set a date for October. It was October 6th. And we did my YouTube interview with him on the channel. And I was just like the whole time, like I was giggling, and I was using Skype at the time, and Skype would like switch between the people. So like if you said one thing, it would switch to you. And then when he would start talking, it would switch back to him. So it was like constantly switching because I would like be laughing. I'm like, stop laughing. It's like, because it would constantly switch. So I was like, yeah, just like googly eyes and like, this guy is so cool. But I was in Canada, he's in Oregon, and I knew like he had like a relationship with someone else or was trying to or whatever. And I was like, this is, like he's just cute. And I think he would be a great friend. So we became friends like really super fast. And we started flirting with each other. And I was like, this is so good. And then we met in like February-ish or something in Oregon. I flew down for a friend's fruit luck. She was having a fruit luck. And I just broke up with my person that I was with, and Nate came up and we're just like instantly like totally each other. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I'm so happy for you guys. You guys are so great together, and it was so nice to see him.
Yeah, it was cool that he was here. Yeah, he was like, we need bananas and lettuce because we're running out. Oh, but
well, you've been great, and it's been so nice to have you on. So thank you so much. And I just want to say, like, where can everybody find you? I'll link everything below as well.
Sweet. So yeah, on Instagram, that's where I'm most active, at Raw Food Romance. I also have my YouTube channel, Lissa's Raw Food Romance, my Facebook page, Lissa's Raw Food Romance as well. I also run a big whole food raw group. So it's focusing on diversity and whole food. It's called Whole Food Raw Vegan Monkeys on Facebook. What else do we have? We've got my app. I have a meal planning app. It's web-based, so you don't need to get it at the app store. Just go to rawfoodromance.com. It's $5 a month. And then what else do I got? All my ebooks are at heyhip.com/rawfoodromance, and everyone can enjoy 40% off. Code is rawfood40 to get 40% off all the ebooks. And yeah, I'm on TikTok and Snapchat and stuff, but I don't really post a lot there. It's Instagram and YouTube is where it's at.
Yeah. And I feel like this lifestyle, it's led to probably so much more success for you too, right? Than you had previously.
Yeah. And it's become my life. Like I was professional photographer from 2008 until I would say 2019. So over a decade, I did professional photography. And then once like I started making money off my recipe books, I was making enough to pay my rent and to be able to travel a little bit. So I had my photography that was paying for the extra stuff. And then I dropped my photography business when I moved to the US in 2019, because like I had to, oh my gosh, immigration is so intense, like tying up all the loose ends in Canada for taxes and my corporation and everything. It's like, oh my gosh, like insane. So yeah, tying all that up. But I did drop the photography because I wanted to put all my focus into Raw Food Romance and creating new products and just helping people. That's my goal. It's just to help people to eat more raw foods, whether they go all raw or not. Doesn't matter, as long as they just start eating more plants and more variety and to get the vegan message out there. So
yeah. And your books are amazing. I have a bunch of your books, and I just lent them to my friend because I think he's on day 4 of raw. So he's using your recipes too, and he loves them. He's going to start with 30 days. So
nice. Yeah. And thank you for that. I'm like such a design nerd. I love design. So I have a lot of fun making all the ebooks and recipes and all that jazz. So
yeah. Well, that's great. Well, thanks again, Lissa, for everything. You've just said so many great tips of information and everything. And it's just been a blessing having you here today. So thanks again.
Thank you. It was awesome.
Yeah. And to all the viewers, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you got some value. If you did, give it a big thumbs up right now. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Ciao, ciao.